Hi, I'm Brandon. I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Brian. I like Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark Christmas movies, and this is the
Deck the Hallmark Podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
That's funny, Brian.
Yeah, that's a good one,
Say
dude.
that on the
I
air.
won't repeat that. I
Say,
told you I was
I don't think we can.
the
Yeah,
story.
tell
Tell
the
the
thing.
story.
Yeah.
We'll give you
So-
permission. Tell the story.
Okay, we're walking downtown. I can't even get through.
No,
on,
that's
tell
a good
him,
one.
tell him.
Yeah.
So I said, "That's a nice hat." It was funnier the first time.
Yeah, then they lost
time.
something.
What did it lose, you think?
Probably it's humor.
Yep. A little bit
Tell
of
the full story.
Come on, man.
that. Okay,
Like,
so I'm walking down
We're not gonna give
downtown.
Yeah, no, we
You
won't
you
use
guys
this.
Get in trouble
promise?
for this.
You
No.
promise? So walking downtown, I see my reflection in the glass.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting close, and I'm like, man, I look really good today. And I realize there's a guy on the inside looking back at me.
And you said nice hat.
Like,
at
oh,
some
that's a
point?
really nice hat.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Deck the Hallmark.
we
It's good to be
live?
here today. I guess so. I guess we started. Really excited to be here today. It's Hump Day.
Hump day.
Let's go,
Hump day.
everybody.
Is that anything you're working on? Let's go, everybody.
Go. Well, you know, all the athletes, all the kids these
Let's
days.
go,
they'll
everybody.
they'll go, let's go.
Let's go.
And I was always like, let's go. Who are you
Let's
talking to?
go.
I don't
That's right.
know.
Everybody.
So I always say everybody at the end of it, just to like, I want
Yeah.
everyone to feel involved and included in this. And so it's a let's go, everybody.
I can't say that naturally. Like the "Let's go" is like a little after.
You don't
me.
think it? You don't think it sounds
I
natural?
don't. No, I don't. I've never said
Yeah.
it.
Oh, man.
Bruins just hit a big goal.
Woo! That's what you do.
Man,
That's what you do.
gosh.
You just found out that your kid's moving across the country.
Let's pack those bags and let's go.
It's a nice hat.
When you say it.
Yeah.
It really hits.
Almost every time.
What were we talking about?
It's hump day.
Hump day.
Oh, that's right.
Let's go.
Hey, if you
Everybody?
all haven't purchased, if everybody hasn't
everybody.
purchased their copy of Christmas Movie Magic,
Movie Magic.
now is the time
He's
to do
gotta
it.
have a song about that, right?
Who? Brett Debbie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's on.
does.
I mean,
I think he does.
he's
He
trying
does
to
have a
perfect
song
it.
about
Yes.
about
Brett Debbie.
about Brett Debbie.
All of his songs are about Brett
Brett
Debbie.
Debbie has a song about Christmas Movie Magic. Do you
Egomaniac.
want to hear it?
Yeah. Oh, wait, is it ready?
We have it.
Now this
What?
guy, and I listen. He's a trooper.
Yeah. Who is he again? Tell for people that
he cranks out music nonstop.
Who
You can-
does?
Brett Debbie.
Yeah, okay.
Is the son of Little Debbie.
You're right.
He grew up in a house made completely stem to stern of Little Debbie snack cakes. Do the math and managed to make it. And now he does some
Make it as
spoken spoken word jazz blues artist.
It's amazing.
And he. You know, he keeps cranking out hits, this guy, and he's got a Christmas Movie Magic game.
Any song about the game.
And he
That's
doesn't
right.
have the game. I think
We
Pink
have
Games
the
has the
game.
game. He's got a song about the game.
That's what I'm being told.
Wow.
All right. Whenever
Cue that clip. Hey everybody, my name is Brett Debbie and I'm here to tell you about the latest game. It's called Christmas Movie Magic. It's called the Christmas Movie Magic. You play cards, you win cards, you get points, and then you rub it in your family's face. You tell them that you can't get in trouble for this because it's a part of the game, and then you throw it in their face.
wow,
Felt personal.
that was one of his angrier tracks.
Sounds like he lost the game.
It does sound like he lost the game.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more lighthearted than that.
It is.
Brett Debbie track would have you believe.
I love Brett Debbie.
Yeah. And
I
if
love
you
Brett
were watching on philo.tv/GTH, you saw that Bram was holding up the card game as we played the track, which you would have been able to see. Otherwise, you would have been able to see his reaction to that Brett Debbie track.
Did I have that in front of my face the whole time?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That's
man.
maybe it's a
My
camera thing.
face, my face was like this, but you couldn't see it. And
Yeah, it was tough.
I,
It was tough.
I loved it. I love Brett. Even his angry stuff. I think what people hear when they listen to Brett Debbie's tracks is a feeling that like this is what I've wanted to say or express for so long, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
He grew up in a house of little Debbie snack cakes.
And we all can relate in a sense.
the refrigerator were Nutty Buddies.
Brett Debbie's
Ceiling
all of us.
cosmic
just
brownies.
melting constantly.
Brett Debbie is all of us. He never had the experience of getting a real Christmas tree.
No.
Mom would
No.
just bring in one of the
Snack
cakes.
The cakes, yeah.
There was a tree made out of snack cakes.
Which,
And you might think,
yeah,
amazing. And
Do
it
the
is.
math.
It is if it's your first time.
Do the math.
But imagine every year.
Yeah.
Imagine
yeah.
it being the case
Yeah.
every year. And all you want is a good old fashioned Christmas. And you
he
don't
has
have
to look
that.
at the innards of that thing every year.
Yeah,
all
gets
of your
to see
meals on a table of cosmic brownies?
Yeah.
It's freaking like
It's nuts.
I mean,
There's
I,
no nuts,
I
actually.
guess
He's-
I can see how you could get annoyed by it. I guess, but I don't know.
Ryan, just
That's a
put yourself in
tough
somebody else's
sell.
shoes for once in your
once.
gosh
Little
darn life.
empathy, I know.
I think you can feel it though. Like the
In
way
the
that
air,
he
yeah.
expressed, you can
Yeah.
Yeah, in his
feel it.
words.
It's in his soul, man.
Yeah. And when he does this with his hair,
Oh yeah.
you can tell.
It's good to see he's out.
Yeah,
he's
he's
out
got
though.
there.
He's
Yeah.
got out and he's got out there touring and it's beautiful. Christmas Movie Magic, deckthehallmark.com/game is what we're trying to say. So there's that. Also Philo if he's
Take it again.
Hey-oh. Hey-oh.
Oh man, my bad.
I'm gonna
Got
make it
away-
up to you.
Got away from me. Philo.tv/DTH is what we're talking about. You can watch us. It's the place where you can watch us.
That's right.
If you like watching the show, if you want to see me react in theory to Brett Debbie's
Yeah.
tracks again,
spirit of
that was
his
my
reaction.
fault. I normally am more conscious of the camera, but I get so like swept up by the jams that sometimes I lose track of where the camera even is. But you can also watch the movies that we're talking about and all that good stuff right there on Philo. It is the I'm getting word. It is once again the Holiday Movie Hub.
Yep.
Holiday.
I got that
They
too.
did it again.
They did it
They
again.
did it again. It's unbelievable. Did it again.
Mom, let's
Less
do
than a
it,
month
shall we?
out from our trip there. That's gonna be
I can't
seeing
wait.
them live.
Sneaking up on
I know,
that.
I know. I can't wait. You want to talk about Christmas with the Singhs?
Would love to, Brand.
This movie originally aired on November 15th, 2024, and it went a little something like this. Asha works as a nurse in the ER, and she takes a call from her parents who are sad that she isn't home for Christmas, but she explains that after years of avoiding this shift, her luck has run out. We then meet Jake, who is a reporter covering the Christmas Day basketball game. He's leaving the game and sees a woman with a bunch of gifts in her hand, and so he runs over to help her. He ends up slipping on ice and has to go to the ER, a little sprained wrist situation. When Asha sees him, it's clear that they knew each other. She was his chemistry tutor in high school, and he was Mr. Athletic. They catch up on where they've been in life and all that good stuff, and the sparks begin to fly, and his heart rate begins to increase. You gotta hate when that happens when you're connected to the
the
heart
old
rate.
Yeah, it's
It's
embarrassing, yeah.
tough. Yeah, I hate to see it. But we love to see it in the movie because it was funny. He shoots his shot and he asks her to go out for a drink, and she says yes. They have some candy cane martinis. They talk about their parents, and he walks her home. And he's about to walk away, but then he pulls her in, and they kiss. And
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We then see a year go by, and we see them growing closer and closer. We're back to another Christmas season, and he proposes. Now it's time for them to meet the parents. They go back to their hometown, and up first is Asha's family. Asha's dad is a real hoot who gives some classic fatherly hazing, if you will, to Jake, such as giving him a hard time about his rental car, getting on him for not asking his blessing before the proposal, and tricking him into eating some real hot chicken. They go to meet Jake's dad, and it's a little bit of a different vibe. He's just kind of sad all the time because of the divorce, and they end up having a bit of an argument about how many kids Asha and Jake are going to have. His dad expresses concern over Jake not being ready for marriage because of the divorce that he had. He's like, hey, pump the brakes, kid. And he's now real hesitant towards marriage. They then go and meet Jake's mom. She's much more excited for them to get married and is also excited to show off her knowledge of Indian culture, which she has learned from pop culture mainly. The next day, Jake falls off a ladder when he finds out that he's not the first guy to propose to Asha. She explains to him that her dad really liked this guy, but I didn't, and so I said no. They talk about it, though, and they make up. The next day, the families all come together in the most anxiety-driven scene in the history of Hallmark Christmas movies. Jake's mom wears a traditional Indian sari, and they don't take their shoes off when they enter the home. Off to a great start. They get into an argument about where the engagement party is going to take place, but that is nothing that a little silent night won't cure. After going to the Christmas carnival together, both sets of parents have conversations about hesitation on these two cultures blending together in marriage. There are some more speed bumps along the way, such as Asha and Jake waking up on the couch together and Dad getting upset about that. A bit of an argument about what he will wear to the engagement party, and frustration that they are double booked on Christmas Eve, and Samuel, her dad, being very worried that they're not going to make it to the Christmas Eve service. It all comes to a head when, in fact, they do show up late to the Christmas Eve service because they were with Jake's family at their Christmas pageant. A huge argument erupts, which leads to Asha saying that she doesn't think that this is going to work. Samuel and Jake Sr. talk about how they've done goofed and decided they're going to work together to make sure that these kids work it out. Samuel apologizes to Jake and gives him his blessing to marry his daughter. Then Samuel goes and apologizes to her, and they have an amazing father-daughter moment. It is time for the engagement party, complete with some traditional ceremonial speeches given by both of the dads, because they're a team now, those two guys. They all dance, and Asha and Jake find themselves under the mistletoe. What is there to do but kiss? And that, my friends, was Christmas with the Singhs.
We did it.
We did do it. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down here on Deck the Hallmark. Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
You okay?
I
sad
hate.
about
Yeah, I'm
something?
still thinking about Brett.
Yeah, what about him?
Just that
Just kind of dark?
He's
Yeah,
down,
just that
man.
He seems down.
He's having a tough holiday season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, you see him rise and you
Yeah.
see him in good spirits, and then just to see this kind of come back. I'm sure he's going to come back, though. Stronger.
Yeah, I think
As
so, for
everything
sure.
with Brett, the adversity only makes him stronger.
That's
What
right.
doesn't, I've heard it said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, if that's all little Debbie snack cake rolls, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get to the hot takes where we share exactly how we felt about this movie. We're talking about Christmas with the Singhs. Let's break it down in a way that only three white guys can. Let's share our thoughts on it. Brian, what do you think about Christmas with the Singhs?
Yeah, and for the sake of record keeping,
I mean, come on.
we
Yeah.
got
Yeah, I liked it.
we got a milady here, so we're up to two.
We got a milady in this movie?
We got a milady in this movie. Yeah, so we're two this
Lady
season,
count.
right?
Up to two.
I thought this was really good. It was actually though not too fun. For like the stress of it and the chaos of it came through like too good. I feel like, and so watching this, like I was kind of stressed out, and so it did a really good job in communicating the chaos that could arise in these situations. And for that, I have to say, well done. I didn't necessarily enjoy that, but it was so good in doing that I'm like, hey, they did a good job, quality job.
So where your personal feelings of enjoyment and the quality of the movie are at odds with each other.
Exactly. So it's complicated. Like after I finished it, like I've like all I could write was like, this is just a little complicated because it was really good, but I don't feel great. So. And I had the thought that I wonder if this movie is going to be really polarizing. Like there are people who really loved it and people who just have no use for it and just say this is lame. We don't want this at all. So
This is lame.
like
we
that,
don't want
like
this
that,
at all.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that
those
guy.
people in the crowd today?
Yeah,
Oh,
this
my
movie's
Lord.
lame.
Man, that
Those
sounds like
people,
they
if you
were
could just
paid.
see yourselves out,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
what?
Go ahead.
What?
Turn their mics off if
What?
you could. Go ahead.
What?
Of all the weeks for those people to show up.
Yeah, they're just relentless. So I don't
You
know.
are lame.
Oh man, I know.
I'm out.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
It would have been
Baby
nice
Jack.
to get a nod to Diwali, but we didn't get anything like that. Just straight down the
I
middle.
think that they established pretty early these are Christmas folks.
Yeah,
they are,
I
and
know.
like Diwali's, I believe, an October holiday.
We missed it. So I get that. Like it
was weird.
It could, a little weird.
But
Like a little weird, but. I get it. Like this is a Christmas movie. Like the Diwali's over. We're doing the Christmas, so I get it. The Samuel standout. That's all I'm gonna say now. I've loaded my Feels gun and I'm unloading.
You got your Feels gun loaded already?
Man, yeah.
Wow. That's
Concealed.
early.
It's concealed. You can't see it. You can't see it.
I can see it.
Yeah, we all can.
I don't know what it was. It's a really good movie, but it was just a tough watch. So yeah. For me.
Are you okay? You go to therapy.
Brett Debbie's rubbing off on me.
This movie slaps.
Okay, good.
Really, really
Good.
well done. And you know what? I am reminded of something that I said earlier this holiday season.
He's going to quote himself.
I'm going
Can
to
you
quote
believe this?
myself.
I'm reminded of the wise
Self-
Christmas scholar.
But it's not a direct quote. It's a general feeling that I had while watching the Sabrina the Teenage Witch reboot of a movie, where I talked about how I don't like discomfort in my Christmas movies, and turns out I do if it's done well, and it was done really well. This was a big swing from Hallmark. It's unlike anything that I've ever really felt in a Hallmark movie. This feeling, this tension that I hate but I love. Like, to your point, Samuel was a master in creating this tension while also being a character that I was rooting for. I loved him. I thought he was so funny. Just one bit after another was crushing. And it was something that I never got in that movie with Caroline Rhea and
Not once.
and
Not once.
the other one. That whole movie, I didn't like any of the characters, and I was just like, you're just not good at being a family and being mothers and just constantly. I just hated that, but I loved this. I just thought that it worked really well. And I was surprised because at first I was like, oh, this is going to be another one of those where it's just conflict and uncomfortable scenes. But I was won over very quickly. I thought this movie was a delight, and can't wait to watch it again. Really, really liked it. Dano?
Yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year, and it's not even particularly close. As, a Southern white boy that's met and married an accomplished, amazing, beautiful Asian-American woman that I met in high school, this movie made me feel a lot of things.
Who you talking about?
There was a lot. What?
Who are you talking about?
My wife.
Oh.
Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
This movie, there were times this movie hit so close to home, I was like, oh my goodness. This is the first movie I've ever had anxiety watching from Hallmark, and they nailed it. I have some minor qualms with this movie, but overall, the dad of this family is
me right now?
just a star.
Kidding me right now?
Like, he's just perfect in this movie. Anuja Joshi is delightful. Loved her from start to finish. Even like sometimes Hollingsworth went above and beyond to make it so clear just how incredibly white he was. But he was really good in this movie.
I got a dance for you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So like I was embarrassed in this movie. I had actual anxiety in this movie.
Yeah.
I love the two of them together. I love the story. I love the message of the movie. This is good stuff. This is better than anything I've seen across the board.
And I think that the actor who played Samuel, do you have his name in front of you?
Yeah,
by
Minaj
chance?
Sood.
He's this year's Rick Hoffman from Round and Round.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
just like every
100%.
scene that he was in, he stole
Yes.
and was just so great. And I think my big concern, and I guess this will segue into the feels, but my big concern with this is that they're not going to be able to turn the corner. And I felt like he successfully played both the
Dude.
I'm gonna haze this guy, I'm gonna give this guy a hard time, and then came around at the end for some heartfelt scenes that really for me worked. I loved seeing this guy not only be this guy who's gonna tell this guy to eat the chicken, it's really like do that thing,
Send
while
him up on
also
the
be
roof.
like, hey, take ownership for goofing and try to make things right, and have the heartfelt scene between him and his daughter. Amazing, an amazing scene, and so really well done by him.
They have three really tough lines to walk in this movie. Number one is that guy has to be mean, but also still like a loving father. I thought they nailed that one. Number 2, they have a line to walk with this Indian family that's all in on Christmas, and you have to buy that and still buy that, like, that doesn't extricate them from being Indian and having these wonderful traditions. And I thought they did that one okay. Like, I thought they weren't like, they didn't always land that. And then third, I think the line of not be like promoting a patriarchy, like not promoting this, the men have to approve this marriage. That was a tough one because it's like clearly tradition, but
So
also,
rooted,
but they did a really good job of letting her decide for herself and make the decision and then make it this kind of formality thing. So I think like on the from the outset, this movie had a mountain ahead of it. I think that's the most impressive thing is that the degree of difficulty here is through the roof. That was my issue with it in the preview episode. And somehow, by and large, they accomplished it.
Do you have any feels?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was-
you had a whole.
loaded,
your
locked
gun's
and
loaded, ready to go.
He
Pull it out.
was so funny. Like the way he played like you said, I'm gonna haze you, and I'm gonna sort of do it in a way where like nonchalant. Like when he was up on the ladder, like the way that
it was
Samuel was just
perfect.
like sort of like didn't care that he was up there, probably gonna get hurt when he fell. Just like he reminded me so much of this guy Pankaj I used to work with, and he was like embodied Samuel's spirit. It was like when Diwali came around, Pankaj organized the celebration, put on the music, danced, sang. Like he was this guy, and he was also like very blunt. And so like I don't know, he just like all I could
Shout
think
out
of.
to him.
Shout out Pankaj. And so he was just so perfect in this, and he carried this. Not that he needed to do it, but for me, he carried this movie where it was just like I was looking forward to seeing every scene with him. I was so glad to see him, and even when he did that thing in the church, where he's like the story of Christmas. It's like he was. A lot of other people would have been like, "This is so lame and cringy. I can't believe they're doing it." With him, I'm like, I want to see him do this. Like,
Yes,
it was,
yes.
he was so
He's
good
unbelievable.
and so funny and just nailed it. Like he was just so good. And so yeah, that was just a really good. In the heart rate scene when his heart rate
I mean,
started
come
going,
on.
I couldn't
Like-
believe how brilliant that little thing was and how well that worked. That communicated like everything you need to know about what was going to happen with them in that tiny little scene. Just really great.
And also the funniness of the parents coming over and thinking that they are, especially the mom, trying to be like,
Oh my
"See?
goodness.
I
Dude.
care, I love."
Yes.
And like them thinking that the shoes off is like them not getting
The idea
what's
that
going
she
on there.
shows up in a sari but will not remove her shoes
Yeah,
was
exactly.
a riot.
So funny.
Like just unbelievable.
So
yeah.
Do you have any other feels, Dano?
Heart rate and the early kiss in this movie, I thought both were fantastic.
You said they were gonna kiss, and I was like, they
We
can't.
were
They
you
won't.
had something you needed to tell me from this weekend that was pertinent for like
I
our
did.
job, and you started. I
It's
went, dude, I
barely
think they're going to
pertinent
kiss.
for our job, but-
yeah, it's even better than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll get to the way one, the what, the Hallmark here on Deck the
the
Hallmark. Hiya, everybody. We're back. We're talking about Christmas with the Singhs. It's time for the way what is where we talk about one this movie minutes ago. Wait, what? Brian?
Yeah, the proposal in the restaurant for me went like a touch too long. I feel like if you're doing a public proposal, like you got to move it along here. I felt like he was just down on doing the. Actually, was he on his knee? I don't know if he even
He
did.
got down on the knee. Yeah.
It just for I don't know what it was about it. It just felt like it went on so long. And if I'm observing this, I'm like, I see it for a few seconds. I turn back to my food. And I'm like, he's still.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
done here. So that was just something that was just a little funny to me. The mom Molly won a gingerbread competition and got just a gigantic trophy for it. It seemed a little excessive for that type of competition. Maybe they just had to get rid of a trophy. Like, what are we gonna do with this thing? And so everyone just sits there while Samuel goes through this thing. Like everybody in that congregation is just gonna sit through this.
The whole Samuel reading the Christmas story is one of the most awkward, weirdest scenes I've seen in a Hallmark movie because the whole time they're building up to it, I thought he just read Luke 2 in the Bible, the Christmas, when you say the Christmas story in a church, everyone goes to Luke 2. This guy gets up there
a whole
with
ballgame.
a book that is like 2 inches
huge.
thick. and it's just called The Christmas Story.
It's even long for the Message version.
Yeah, and he's reading it to shout out. He's reading it to 4 children while a bunch of adults watch. I had so many questions about that scene. I didn't know what was going on. I assumed he was reading the Bible, like that would make sense. I don't think many churches would be down with that. They'd be like, you want to read the Christmas story to the kids? You're going to read the Bible. You're not going to bring your own book in. But I mean, when you've done it 15 years, you know.
Tradition.
It was wild. That was a wild scene that was cringe and not in a good way. Yeah. Wild scene.
That was it for me.
I only have 2, one at the beginning, one at the end. I don't know what building he's walking out of after the basketball game, but it is not a basketball arena.
And it's not an office for press.
I'm trying to be kind here and say maybe he went back to the office and the office is now in an old
town hall
courthouse. One thing I know for certain is basketball did not take place in whatever the building is that he's walking out of. And so good for him, I guess, for finding some sort of weird tunnel system that takes him to that particular building. And then lastly, at the very end of this movie, they are on the dance floor. And they look up and there is mistletoe. And now I'm concerned that Asha's brother just has mistletoe out on the dance floor.
Dude, mistletoe on the dance floor is a disaster.
It's reckless.
That's a disaster.
Also a great live show, though.
Yeah,
mistletoe on the dance floor is really good.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm worried now about what Asha's brother is up to at his restaurant. Just having mistletoe sprinkled throughout the dance floor.
It's risky.
It's risky. It's risky. Dano?
The audacity of this movie thinking a millennial has good enough health care to go to the ER for a sprained wrist is hysterical.
That is funny.
guys.
That was a thought. I'm like, you tough that out. You put some ice on that.
Guys, ER? What are you, made of money? You're a reporter, bro.
Yeah.
You ice that bad boy up, you elevate it, and you sit at home.
You should just go find the
you
team
don't
doctor.
have a, I mean, they're going to laugh at you pulling out the insurance card. You're going to be in debt the rest of your life. You can't do that. You must have met your deductible earlier in the year. That's all I got to say. You got to be kidding me with this sprained wrist emergency room visit. You call an ambulance too?
He's got a credit.
Just want to help out the people with who are driving those privatized ambulances. We doing that? He said early in this movie, when I was 5 years old, my parents threw me in the deep end of the pool and said, swim. A lot of 5-year-olds would be fine with that. Like a lot of 5-year-olds can swim. It's not like that's not a crazy age for that. I think he's mistaking this, anecdote with the babies that get put in the water to swim. That's not what a 5-year-old is at all. He also says in that scene, the best wishes are the ones you don't even realize you made. Still trying to unpack that bad boy, trying to get that to go in my head. It doesn't work. Yeah. It was driving me nuts when they sit down to this feast of Indian food and try to talk about what everybody's done for the last 20 years. Guys, that food is getting cold. They didn't say, it's not that they said a long blessing. They set the table. Everybody sits down and it's like, Dad does this. He's been doing it for 20 years. You've done. I was just like, can somebody just pick some naan up, some something? Yeah. Can we just try? Like,
pass that down here, please.
I would be losing my mind. I would just be like, But like, food. We did the food. Can we eat and do this at the same time? That would be fantastic if we could. They break out lyric pamphlets for Friday night. For Silent Night.
Yeah.
And that's something, but maybe some people don't know the words to Silent Night. But Asha should. If they sing it at her house and her dad plays it, the fact that everyone is looking at lyrics to Silent Night is kind of crazy. The life-size gingerbread man in this movie is terrifying, and I don't know how it made the cut, but it made it. But it terrified me to no end. Also, the lack of things that they talk about as a couple are crazy. Like, you're going to visit my parents for the first time, just FYI, we're not going to be able to sleep in the same bedroom. Like, a lot of audacity for Hallmark to having that in the movie. I thought that was pretty cool, but like, you would think this couple would go over some of this stuff, like if they want to have kids or things like that. I thought that was a little bit crazy. And then when we find out that she was so bold as to be a nurse practitioner instead of a doctor, I thought that was really funny. Like that whole idea that it was like, I carved my own path. Nurse practitioner was really, really funny to me. Like, it's not like she passed the MCATs and went and became a nurse practitioner is basically a doctor without the designation. Like, she basically was like, it was just on distinction. It was just like, I'm going to do everything you want me to do, but I'm not going to have the title. What a rebel.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
It's time for What the Hallmark Story. Wonder what could have been maybe. What are we wondering about, Brian? That's what we're trying to get to here. What do you got?
Yeah, so Jake's dad, Jake Sr., at one point he pours himself a glass of milk in the kitchen there. So we know he likes milk. And I'm just wondering now, you going to buy the cow when you're getting the milk for free? That's all I'm wondering. Simple question.
That's all I'm wondering here. That's all I'm wondering.
As long as you're proud of it.
You gonna
that's
get
all that
back? You
matters.
gonna get back?
Yeah.
Back in the saddle? That's all I'm wondering.
That's all.
That's all I'm wondering.
That's all I'm wondering.
That's right.
I mean, I have questions about what her brother's restaurant is.
Yeah, that's mine too.
It's a nice looking place.
Friggin' massive bar. A huge bar.
Business is good.
A dance floor that I believe is always there and always on, that glows from the belows.
Beautiful.
And it's just really long. Now I know that they were decorating for the party, but like we don't really see any tables, so they get rid of all. I just want to know, like, what is the vibe of this restaurant? When
like
it's
on a
not
normal Tuesday night.
Yes, when it doesn't have an engagement party going on, what is the vibe of this restaurant? I've never seen a bar that large in my life.
It's massive.
And Dan, we were talking about it, and I was like, maybe this is a hotel lobby, because you know how sometimes hotel lobbies have really, really big bars.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was the biggest bar I've ever seen.
No
in my
bars
life.
were held.
No bars were held.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Dana?
I mean, you guys touched on most of them, but I will say just all of the little establishments of these characters don't quite add up. Like the restaurant clearly isn't a restaurant. Like, his job is at the courthouse, right? These like all in Christians are not reading this. The Christmas story, I believe, starts with Once Upon a Time that he reads in church. So like, there's some little things on the fringes of this movie that I have a huge, like, I don't understand.
Well, and
like you did so much to make it like make sense and authentic, and then around the fray, it's just like, no, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. You and I were talking about it, Dan, while we watched it, but like the Christianity part of this movie is interesting, and I would love to hear from the writer as to why she made this family Christian. Not that doesn't happen, because it does, but it was. I thought that it was going to play a larger part in the overall movie, and
I did too when they went so hard with it.
I didn't know if it was like Hallmark hedging its bets with like they did with like Hanukkah movies a few years ago. They were like, we'll make it as Christmassy as possible, and but say, hey, here's a Hanukkah movie. I don't know what, it was just interesting. It was an interesting choice that I would love to hear the backstory as to why, because I thought it was going to come up a lot more. And
Me too.
Ultimately, it didn't. So there's another one, free of charge.
Thanks,
It's a
Brandon.
free of charge
Free
one.
of charge.
Just to get you
Free
in
of
the door.
charge one. That's it. We did it, everybody. Congratulations to us. And the good news is we're going to be back tomorrow.
What?
Man, the hits keep coming. Hopefully you'll join us for that. Until then, we're the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.